Hello and welcome to episode 11 of Ultra Q. I believe it's 11. That's what I got written down. My name is Red. I am joined by Mel.
You know, if I had a nickel for every time episode 6 of an Ultra series featured a kid being roped in with an aquatic reptile and some criminals, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but...
You're not wrong. I'm also joined by Razan.
Hello. I recently learned that the title of episode 4, 5 seconds before the explosion, was actually taken from a production still of the first episode of Ultraman, which was the first shot of Ultraman.
Wait, what?
What?
This is a blowjob joke.
Ouch. Fuck this.
You know what? There are too many layers to this, and I disown you. Please hang up the call. We're now recruiting new co-hosts.
Please email in if you would like to join Ultra Q. Do not do that. We've got episode 4, episode 5, episode 6 of Ultra Man. I was about to say Q. Yeah. I have bad, habit.
Old habits die hard.
Yeah. I would just like to start making a PSA. So we released our first episode of Ultraman. Did pretty good. Popped off. Apparently in 3 days already surpassed 4 of our other episodes in terms of listenership. So hey.
Now Mel, what does that mean?
It fucking means a whole bunch of you are not watching Ultra Q. So go fucking do that.
It will actually be very important when I talk about production history that you have some Ultra Q context.
It will also be very important when we talk about episode fucking 4.
Yes.
It will also be important in episode 6 when I say that Hoshino is Jun 2 and he's got his own Ippei Jr. and Yuriko Jr.
Holy shit. Yeah, go watch Ultra Q. Also welcome to all new viewers, but also do go watch Ultra Q.
If for no other reason, then you're missing out on an incredible television show.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, with that PSA done, last week we kept it a little light. We're gonna keep it a little light this week as well, just because time constraints. But we do usually, we don't hang out as much as we should, so we do a little homie check-in. We like to see what we've been watching, what we've been reading, what's been going on. I just want to say the Barbarossa campaign in Age of Empires 2 is a fucking bitch. What's a
Excuse me,
nightmare.
why the fuck are you doing a Barbarossa? Wait, hold on, no. I got confused. Barbarossa the guy, not the fucking World War II thing.
Yeah, but not the campaign. Barbarossa the guy. The guy that the campaign is named after.
This makes a lot more sense. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
Age of Empires 2.
What
ahead.
is the Soviet Union doing in Age of Empires 2?
The 2 in Age of Empires 2 stands for World War II. Little known fact.
But yeah, the Frederick Barbarossa campaign, the last 2 missions are something about the AI in the 5th mission changed between the original game, Age of Kings, and the expansion, Age of Conquerors. So now it's like really, really hard because there's something about the enemy AI and the ally AI that means they're more aggressive and they go all in on things when they shouldn't. The scenario is not designed for it, and it gets really hard. I managed it without cheats, so I'm feeling pretty proud of myself, but it did involve kind of tricking the AI a little bit.
In a way that felt rewarding, or in a way that felt like, oh, I wish I could just play normally? Because sometimes it's the other one, but this time it was actually quite rewarding. I felt like... That's good. I felt big brain. I felt very smart.
Nice.
Because most of the recommendations I saw online were cheat code it. Use like Marco Polo so you can see where all the enemies are, or just if you can't be bothered, use IR Winner to get through. The cheat code names in Age of Empires 2 are pretty good. But I finished the base game, the Age of Kings campaigns. That was fun.
Is there base building in the campaigns?
There is some. Okay, in some of the missions, well, in quite a few of the missions there is base building. Often it's a case of like you are just put like some of the base building is like a real high wire act of fuckery because it's like a regular game, but you're sort of like, what if you just loaded up a regular game and went AFK for 10 minutes and let the AI build up before you had even like grabbed one resource?
Oh, so
is what the scenario is like.
The cookie clicker of RTS.
The cookie clicker of RTS. Exactly. But the sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. There's a Saladin mission where you have to build up a coastal base where the way to beat the game is to simply not build up a coastal base, is to simply move your base inland away from the impending navy from Tyre. So that's what I did, and I won. There's some missions that get more creative. The fifth mission that I was just talking about in the Barbarossa campaign in particular is like you just have to get 5 soldiers to across because it's about Barbarossa's march to the Crusades, which doesn't end well for him. You know, he drowns.
You know what? He deserved.
Yeah, he attempts to cross a river and just fucking falls off his horse and drowns, which kind of puts the Third Crusade to bed. A lot of there's. I don't want to get too into this, but sometimes people talk about Crusades history and they are really aggressively like 20th century, early 2000s posting about projecting about like, oh yeah, the Third Crusade was totally like a success. I was like, no, it wasn't. What are you talking about?
The Third Crusade, notably a success when Saladin took over the Kingdom of Jerusalem.
Yeah, if your house burns down and you save the cat, have you had a good day? Now, I'll give you the cat. You like that cat. That's a win. But your house burned down.
Off camera for privacy reasons. I don't know why I said camera. Off microphone for privacy reasons.
Okay, I'll cut this out.
No. I'm saying this for the benefit of the audience. I need to tell you, too, about the Knights Templar guy I know, because...
oh, no.
It's a bad time. I have some videos to show you.
Most of my exposure comes from, Crusader posting comes from, I have a friend who, introduced me to, metal and, including the band Sabaton. And one of their songs is called "The Last Stand," and because of some of the lyrics in those songs, a lot of people are like, "Oh man, it's like the Crusades, a Deus Vult." Except, actually, the song is about German mercenaries besieging Rome in the Reformation Wars. And I'm like, yes. I don't think this is quite the thing you're thinking. The lyrics are literally like, "Oh hey, the Swiss Guard is here. It's 1857," and I'm like, "No, 15." Whatever, I'll get the date wrong. But anyway, they're not talking about the wrong... They're just stupid.
Yeah, I wish they were good at this, because they have a song about Bannockburn, which is the coolest...
I mean, to be fair, that's more the fan base than the band. But the band...
I'm not, I listened to the Bannockburn song and I was like, this is alright. I'm not super into it. But, yeah. The reason I got onto this was because the Mission 5 of the Barbarossa campaign, which is about you just have to get your soldier, you just have an army, and you have to get at least 5 soldiers to a particular point across, fighting. You have to sail across, I think, the Bosporus, and you have to get Constantinople to give you ships, which involves threatening them with military might.
Oh, I remember Venice said that.
Yeah. You have to sail from the weak port of Gallipoli. Sorry, Gallipoli, you got caught up in this.
Wouldn't be the last time.
Yeah, but yeah, that mission was cool. Even if I had to trick the AI, it was sick. And there are other missions like that, like the final mission of the Saladin campaign, which is maybe a little ahistorical, is you have to defend your wonder. You have to build and defend a wonder in a city that Richard the Lionheart does conquer in history. But it's cool. My wonder was like, I mentioned this on co-host, my wonder was like one trebuchet hit from going down when the timer ran out and I won. That was pretty sick.
That's cool.
I finished the base campaigns of the Age of Kings. I'm going to take a break before going into the Age of Conquerors expansion. I'm going to probably play some Command and Conquer. Because I'm missing that, and I need to see the ridiculous FMV game.
I need to do RTS at some point beyond Pikmin, and I guess Paradox strategy games if they count, because that's basically the bulk of my time.
They're adjacent. Certainly, I think.
Yeah, I'm just like
they're like an RTS sandbox of sorts.
Yeah, it's just like
is kind of how
they
I
are
view
strategy.
them.
They are real time, but like the gameplay of like Victoria 2 and Crusader Kings is not the same as Command and Conquer and Age of Empires.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm interested in like.
I also like Paradox games. To me are more about fucking around and finding out than they are winning.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the point. And some games are more sandboxy than others. I've heard that like Crusader Kings and Victoria are pretty good, like from a sandbox standpoint, whereas I think like Europa Universalis and Hearts of Iron are doing a lot more, have more railroady shit going on, which is like kind of lame.
So this is one of the things that I want to talk about with just there's like a narrative arc to a standard game of Age of Empires 2, or I guess like any like base building RTS with like limited resources on the map, is you look at like Civilization and it's about like constant rise and reaching like creating like an eternal empire or whatever, and it's like that's not how things work. Shit falls. Dwarf Fortress, but the standard game of Age of Empires 2 is like you strip the land bare to wage war against your enemy, and if you get to the like really late game, you have just run out of resources and you're throwing like feeble units at each other that you can make with like no money.
I mean, that's definitely
and it's really cool, and I wish there was a game that sort of like leaned into this and codified it a little more.
Paradox games definitely have a thing where you can easily snowball and conquer the world once there's a point where you go big enough and strong enough you can conquer everyone, which isn't how anything actually works. So like overextension is technically a thing, but the games usually don't like actually balance for it.
The other significant thing about Age of Empires 2 is I played the base version. I did not play the definitive edition version of the campaigns where they got new voice actors in and stuff, which means one, the Scottish tutorial campaign, amazing. The way that man attempts the Scottish accent, incredible. This did come back to bite me though when I got to the Genghis Khan campaign.
Oh no!
Oh no!
It's
no!
It's pretty bad. It's pretty rough. But some of the campaign was good. I did like it. There was a lot of very cool just scenarios at play. I think the first one in particular, which is about uniting tribes, is pretty cool. There's like you don't get no base building whatsoever. It's just you have to. It's like one tribe asks for like find us 20 sheep from the map, bring them to us, we'll ally with you, and you can have our monks, and that means you can go pick up a relic to give to a different tribe, and then like two of the tribes on the map are like, yo, kill that other one, we hate them.
That does remind me that Koei used to be like they got their start as like a big strategy game like juggernaut, and in modern era that's mostly been reduced to their Three Kingdoms and Nobunaga's Ambition games are the ones that are still alive and trucking, but like they had a lot more diverse lineup in the 80s and 90s, and I include like a sub-series that was all about like Genghis Khan, and that seemed like a cool thing.
Oh, that does seem cool. So yeah, that was. I'm gonna actually write up a thing and post it on co-host because I've decided I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna keep that up because I want to get half decent at playing Age of Empires. I'm gonna go online. What I've discovered is that the AI just keeps doing one build, keeps one feudal age rush going all the time at me, and I'm just like, I'm not learning the game. So I'm gonna have to play against strangers online. So that's gonna happen. But go ahead.
So when people play like RTS games online, do they say that their faction is like their main, like a fighting game player?
So Age of Empires 2 is different because there's so many. So StarCraft, absolutely. Because there's 3 factions and they play so differently. Age of Empires 2, very different. Because the factions are all similar enough that it's basically the same video game, but they're different enough that there are like meta picks for different maps.
Interesting.
So people learn lots of civs, and the way that tournaments are structured is that you can't pick the same civ twice, generally. And sometimes there's a variant on that, like I saw in Age of Empires 4 stream, because there's only 8 factions in that, and so they have to work a little harder to squeeze like rounds out of that. And so they had a rule where it was like, if you win with a faction, you can't play that faction again.
Oh.
And it's like, this isn't like across a whole tournament. This is like in like best of like 7, best of 9 matches and stuff.
Jesus.
Yeah. So these are like I've been watching competitive Age of Empires 2 online, and they could go for much longer than they do because there is one person who's just too good at the game.
Oh,
there's a guy called the Viper who is just too good at Age of Empires 2 and just keeps beating people in like 4-1, 4-2.
The Daigo Umehara of Age of Empires.
So yeah, I don't expect I'll ever be that level because I am not a teenager. I do not have that many years ahead of me to get this good at the game and like stay like. So I'm not aiming for competitive level, but I just want to get decent at the video game.
That's a good place to be at with anything like this. I feel like I have reached the point with fighting games where I'm like, I can understand in my own journey of self-improvement why this is an honest to fucking god full-time job for some people, and how that shows in how they play versus how I play. There's a point where you gotta just be like, I'm in this for like getting what I can out of it, and reaching that top requires more effort than most should probably reasonably give to a thing like this.
Yeah. For me, I want to just like mostly improve my fighting game skills just so I can like play at a more parity level with my peers. That's all.
Yeah, that's always a good thing to be at.
I had 2 other things. I'm not going to talk about both of them. I'm just going to say I'm still watching Captain Scarlet. Well, I say still. I haven't watched a single episode since last time because I've been very busy. I slept for 12 hours this morning because I finally settled into. I didn't have anything to do, and so I was like, man, I'm gonna wake up at a normal time. Did not. Woke up at 3 p.m. But the other thing, I finished watching The Eminence in Shadow, which is I realize it's weird to go on a podcast and say that an isekai anime is good, but it is.
Listen,
it's
Dunbine and Escaflowne are also
aside
good.
from Dunbine. Aside from Dunbine.
Listen, Escaflowne is also good. There's like, there's a handful.
Yes, there's a handful. But yeah, that Eminence in Shadow, good anime. Yeah, it's horny, but like, I don't know why. I'm not logging on and being like, damn, this anime made for perverts by perverts sure has fan service, shaking my head. I know what I was getting into. And the first episode does have, in the name of tackling every cliche in isekai, it unfortunately does deal with sexual assault in episode 1, which is just like, I don't think you needed this. I don't think you needed this at all. But the rest of the show, good. It's funny that you can just make a character's entire motivation just be, wouldn't it be sick to be Lelouch? He just loves the idea so much.
One day I'll watch Geass.
I don't know whether you'll like it or not, but it's certainly very entertaining.
It's worth watching.
The thing is, in a weird way, I've built it up in my head is like, because of like its reputation and the memes, that just like I have to, when I watch Geass, it has to be like for a reason or like for a special occasion. Like I have to be doing something with it. It can't just be like a thing I put on casually, like or I'm getting to it on my backlog. It has to be like an event in a way because of how I built it up in my head. And I'm probably I don't know if that's gonna let me down or not.
The thing is, it's wilder than I think you could imagine.
And like there's like some stuff I know about, but like basically I'm mostly just like, oh, it's gonna be a wild ride, and I hope I enjoy that ride.
Well, I haven't got anything else this week, so whoever wants to go next.
I have relatively little. I was dealing with a lot of in real life stuff this week. Semi-related. My girlfriend and I are watching we're doing an exercise which I'm calling Breaking Bocchi. We're watching 2 episodes of Bocchi the Rock followed by an episode of Breaking Bad.
This is a wild combination.
You know what?
Yes.
You say this, but also I've seen how Bocchi the Rock fans shitpost, and it seems exactly like the kind of thing they do.
This is true. I have actually, I'm pretty sure I tweeted out there's a clip that is a Bocchi the Rock Breaking Bad crossover shitpost. I'm not going to talk about Breaking Bad just because it's like, you know.
It's 2023.
Yeah. Well, okay, I will. Okay. The reason we're watching Breaking Bad, I do need to say this because this is wild to me. So at the time, before we started dating, we started this because I brought up Breaking Bad and she went, "What's that?" And I was like, "You're joking,
Wait,
right?"
What?
No, she did not know what Breaking Bad was. She never had heard of it before. Like at all.
I want to go to this world.
I do too. But I was like, "We should watch this." And she was like, "Yeah. I don't know why you assumed I would know this." And I was like, what?
Because...
yeah.
Imagine not knowing what Thunderbirds is.
My exposure to Breaking Bad is restricted to that one video of the people doing a scene in Discord. And I am satisfied with that.
Nice.
See, at some point I do want to watch Better Call Saul, but I'm like, I should rewatch Breaking Bad before I get to that. So I was like, well, I get to show this person a really cool show, and then also too I get like the rewatch in before Better Call Saul, which a lot of my friends seem to like better than Breaking Bad, which pretty impressive. So I will see how I feel about that. But yeah, again, I don't think I'm going to be giving my weekly updates on Breaking Bad because I don't got anything new to say on Breaking Bad. All of the opinions on Breaking Bad are already out there in the ether. But Bocchi the Rock, I feel more than comfortable commenting on.
Let's go.
It's a good show.
It's pretty good. I only the first 2 episodes down, but there's already multiple moments where I'm like, yeah, I can relate maybe a little too hard to this. It is about a girl with no friends who is really good at guitar, posts covers of popular songs on the internet under the name Guitar Hero. And her whole deal is that she really wants to get good at guitar in the hopes that someday she'll be part of a band and then she'll have a group of friends and she won't be a loner anymore. The only problem is that she hates going to the outside world, really hates going to school because she just doesn't fit in with anyone. Nobody really acknowledges her existence to the point where there's a really funny bit where someone's like, well, don't you have any nicknames? And she's like, yeah, hey you and you over there. And they're like, those aren't nicknames.
Man.
There's a bit in this show where she has to walk into this club and she's the first one there, and then she goes,
yes,
okay,
I know exactly what you mean.
and she goes, okay, I'm gonna give it 5 minutes and then I'll go in alone. And then 5 minutes passes, she goes, okay, 10 minutes, and then she go 15 minutes, and I was like, oh no, oh no, I've done, like,
Yeah.
there's a younger version of me that has absolutely done this when I was a little bit in the worst place. No, this, honestly, if you can relate to anxiety at all, I highly recommend this show. It's very good for that. I know a lot of musicians that actually enjoy the show too, for just like what it feels like to be young and, you know, dicking around with friends or even people you barely know and just like shooting the shit in a band and using it kind of just as like a reason to hang out and get to know people better. I don't know how to play an instrument. I'm not musically inclined really at all. I don't even really know how to read sheet music, which like is always like a thing where I'm like, maybe I should learn how to do that someday, but I'm past a point where I would ever probably really use it. But like growing up, my social circle in high school were like pretty much my social circle was a band, and then there was me and two other guys who were just kind of like hanging out around them. So there was a lot of stuff that brought me back to like my younger days, both from the like mental health angle of being young and afraid to make yourself vulnerable and put yourself out there and connect with people, but then also to what it's like to be trying to put together this like creative thing and working with a bunch of people to figure out if you all work together or not, and get people to pay attention to you and the things you make. Very fun show. I'm enjoying it a lot so far, and I'm curious to see where it goes from episode 2. So I know there's 4 people in the band. So far there are only 3, so I'm curious how a 4th girl fits in.
She will fit in. It will happen.
I like how they all have the same color scheme as the team of Fresh Precure.
It all comes back to Precure.
It always does with me.
I like Bocchi the Rock. It's a good anime.
Yeah, it's a good show. It blew up in a big way.
Yes.
Which is...
It blew up in a way that seems to be sticking around.
Yeah.
It like, you know, people are posting about it in the way that people used to post about anime. Anime is alive again.
I like the sheer breadth and inspiration of some of the posting.
Yes. Yes. But I like Bocchi. I think the comparison with K-On! Is not unwarranted. It's much more band focused than K-On!
Yes.
But yeah, Mel.
Yeah. So in our last Ultra Q episode, Razin mentioned watching a thing called Twilight Q. And now I have also done that.
Nice.
How are you feeling about Twilight Q?
Twilight Q is a show, a 2-episode OVA that I have watched.
Where do you come down on? Are you more of a first episode person or a 2-episode or the second episode person?
So I don't know how strongly I feel about the first episode, but I do like it more than the second episode.
I think I agree, which I was not expecting as the Oshi person.
Yeah,
but I think that's maybe the weakest Oshi thing I've watched.
Yeah, so like the first episode, I feel like halfway through it stops having a narrative, and then it becomes like stuff happens and then ends. Though maybe that's unfair. Maybe I can, thinking back, there's a bit more of a resolution than I gave credit to when I watched it like not a week ago, but like 5 days ago. But it's kind of a cool mystery to set up, and it is cool from a vibe standpoint. And I guess like the way they ended is like, oh, that's a nice way to wrap up with a bow, I guess. I just didn't gel with the second part at all. It was just like, there's a cool weird thing happens. I do kind of like the meta reveal, I guess, that maybe it's not actually real. It's just a guy saying some shit. But like, it's extremely about some guy just expositing over some still frames for like a lot of it. And the other parts that are animated feature a child who is not wearing any pants. I'm like, okay, I don't think this was necessary.
I watched that second one and I was really feeling it for the first bit, and then when I realized it kept going, and the entire episode pretty much was just going to be this guy at a word processor explaining the mystery to you while like kind of surreal imagery happened in the background, I started to really lose interest. I also kind of like how they play around with like how much of this was real at the end a little bit too, but I don't know if it did enough to really win me back. I like that first episode quite a bit. I do agree there is a point where like the first half of it plays it like there's a mystery to be unraveled, and then the second episode kind of just puts you on a roller coaster of some really bizarre shit happening in a way that it grounded me enough in that main character that I was kind of along for the ride. And I do like how it wrapped back around to give you kind of a close circle on what exactly happened without also explaining everything that went on. But that second episode to me felt like if it felt to me like if someone wanted to make like a short that was taking the piss out of Oshi's maybe most self-indulgent tendencies. Like that would be what you made.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it's weird because also like thinking on it, and like, oh, this reminds me a bit about like the episodes that Oshi did for Lupin Part 6, because it is kind of like those vibes, except those were like felt like those were still like Lupin episodes where things happen to some degree. So
what interested me is that it was that was the same year that he made The Red Spectacles, which is one of my favorite movies and like probably the favorite thing by him that I've ever seen. And there are a lot of commonalities in what he's interested in that movie and what he talks about in there, to the point where the guy even brings up like some hot takes on like ramen or whatever in the Twilight Q short, which is all over the place in Red Spectacles. Like there's a part where they go to an underground ramen shop and talk about how you can't order ramen in this dystopian future just off the street anymore because they don't want to draw crowds of guys that just stand around all day eating ramen. Like it's a whole thing in Red Spectacles. Done much better there. This just felt like him going on a little bit of a ramble, while also trying to create this supernatural element that I don't think was interesting enough to really warrant the runtime.
Yeah, I'd be curious how you felt about those particular Lupin episodes, because they got some vibes.
I might get there someday. But it would probably not be for a long time.
No, honestly, Part 6 isn't even that great of a Lupin part, to be honest. So it's you could probably just watch those episodes on their own. They're standalone. Yeah. So yeah, you heard it here, folks. Episode 2 of Twilight Q, not as good as Vlad Love.
I need to watch that soon.
Yeah.
Not as good as Pat Labor 2.
To be honest, yeah.
As the Pat Labor 2 defender, I agree with the statement.
Me, who doesn't particularly care for Pat Labor 2, do I like it more than Vlad Love? Probably not.
Pat Labor 2 has Naruto politics. It's
yeah, Vlad Love has
it's like
characters doing a stage show based on Castlevania, which makes it automatically better.
Yeah, that's good. Immediately worth it.
But yeah,
I remember going into Pat Labor 2 thinking like, oh, this is going to be too clever for its own good, and then I was like, okay, I learned this from the Invasion of Pain arc in Naruto.
Yeah, Pat Labor 1 is just a lot better. Maybe my opinion on Oshi will be elevated when I get around to his Urusei Yatsura movies.
Oh yeah, I have well and truly fallen off Urusei Yatsura. I need to get back on it. I need to get back on reading Maison Ikoku, because there's a really nice physical edition of Maison Ikoku, which is like 10 volumes or something, and it's just good. It's nice. So when I've got money, I will pop into a Waterstones or just check Amazon because Waterstones never fucking has it. Pick up a volume of Maison Ikoku. But yeah. So that's Twilight Q.
Yeah.
Still think it's worth visiting, but that second episode left me a little bit more dry than the first one did.
Ironic, because it's about fish, ostensibly. Yeah, but fortunately I wasn't able to get up to much else this week, because I ended up being a bit shaken up by some stuff, because I witnessed a murder.
You witnessed a murder?
Oh?
Yeah, the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Damn.
Oh. Damn, I'm so sorry. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. Hey, as we talked about last week, April Fool's happened, and we're a bit more removed from that. But anyway, Sega released a short 2-hour free Sonic visual novel on April Fool's. It's pretty good. I like it. I think.
Nice.
I was in a Discord call with someone who was streaming it, and I was half paying attention to the conversation, half paying attention to the game, so I can slightly weigh on this as well. And I remember when I was paying attention, I liked the bits that I saw.
Yeah, so I feel like there's a conversation to be had that I won't belabor too long, where you have like the intersection of companies making we're making it's April Fool's, what if we had a visual novel dating sim thing, and just
Hololive, don't joke about that marine visual novel.
and just like
Continue.
how people kind of like are just like, damn, you're just taking the piss out of an entire genre and its fans. And on the other hand, there's like Sonic in like recent years, when trying to work its social media thing, being like self-aware of like its troubled history, I guess you say, but also perhaps indulging too much in that side, and maybe leaning too much into self-deprecation to the expense of like the people who generally enjoy Sonic. And just like that's probably changed in like more recent years, that they kind of like try to figure the shit out more. And I feel like this visual novel is kind of like the intersection of like how to do things correctly, because like it's about, the plot is it's Amy's birthday. You're playing as like some like OC person that you name yourself, but like Amy's birthday, she's having a murder mystery birthday party on a train, and like Sonic becomes the murder victim, and it becomes like everyone's got a role, and you try to figure out who is the murderer. And it plays out like a very bare bones, like Phoenix Wright visual novel, but like they do the thingamajig where you go around, you do investigation a bit and then you do dialogue and try and solve the mystery. And they even have like a Danganronpa style dive into your mind to figure out the answer minigame, which plays a bit like an isometric version of the Sonic 2 half-pipe. Less involved than like the Danganronpa minigames, because usually those you're like presented with a question and you have to answer the question while doing the gameplay. And here it's just like do the gameplay and then you give it the answer after. And it's, you know, they put in the effort. There's good assets. The characters are making jokes and just being funny, but not in a way that's like leaning into memes or stuff, or just like the self-deprecating jokes, because there's a tendency like there's definitely a way people online talk about Sonic, especially if they're not into Sonic, and how they make fun of Sonic. And this game does not indulge in those. They just like have fun with the characters, and you're hanging out with the characters, and that's cool. It's got the vibes of like when you are watching a show and then there's like a episode where they just go camping or have a barbecue, and it's just like, oh, you're hanging out with the characters in a more low stakes, casual setting. It's more comedic. You see a different side to them, and it's good. It's just fun to hang out. You get to see Shadow be a tsundere. SBO doing like dumb poetry shit because he's just really into his character being the poet guy. Knuckles destroys a Super Monkey Ball arcade machine because he gets salty. Just lots of good bits. Amy is delightful. It's just good. I do have one quibble where like after the mystery solved, the last like 6%, like 10% of the game is like, oh man, actually Eggman is involved and we have to actually save the day.
I also thought that was kind of dumb.
I felt like it felt unnecessary. Though I can kind of see like you want to include Eggman in this kind of fun event in some way. It just felt like you could have had it just be less of a thing. You had to like, oh man, I got to defeat the evil robot train. I did kind of like how they like for those parts they took the gameplay from the mind diving minigame, and it's like, well, this is the gameplay where Sonic is playing to save the day, and he's doing the gameplay from before that you knew to do the boss battle, quote unquote. Actually, kind of challenging. Like, there's actually like, it's not like the hardest thing in the world, but there is a fair bit of challenge. I died a fair amount to it, but just it's just good. It's good. Like, the Sonic characters are nice. They have a bad reputation for stupid reasons, and they're nice characters. It's nice to have just hang out with them in a kind of low stakes chill adventure, and just being like, hey, we did like obviously it's a joke because it's like, hey, what if Sonic was a murder mystery visual novel, is like still like a funny premise, but like they treat it with like respect and like they cared, and that's like I think important.
Just doing it is different. Is definitely a different take.
It's not like, whoa, what if we did the dating sim? None of these people who did that ever played Tokimeki Memorial. Shut the fuck up.
I need to get back to that and get Shiori.
You're not going to.
I've gotten close.
I don't believe you. I need to actually play Tokimeki Memorial one time.
See, I learned that the requirements in the Super Famicom version, which is the only one that's translated, are significantly different from the other ports of the game as well.
Yeah. Right, here's the thing. I believe that Razin, of all three of us, could do it.
Wait, why? Hold on, I need your reasoning for that.
Because you're my go-to person for, like, I need to figure out how to get the neutral ending in Shin Megami Tensei 4.
Okay, yeah, no, never mind, that tracks.
Yeah,
you did message me asking me for advice, and I gave you some pretty concrete resources.
Yeah. I was like, oh damn, this is more helpful than I could have possibly imagined.
Yeah, I do want to try Tokimeki Memorial. I do know the SNES version is like, as you'd expect, the downgrade port, because it's not on the ideal system for it, but also I heard that like the fan translation added a lot of stuff to like make it less
Here's my thing for that too, because I remember there was some discussion when that translation patch came out that was like, oh, this one isn't even worth playing. Having played quite a few different attempts through myself and doing various routes and stuff, you're honestly getting like 90% of the experience.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of cool stuff that you are missing out on that like is kind of a bummer and I wish I got to experience, but like the moment-to-moment gameplay is pretty much the same thing. It's just like the visuals and the music just aren't as good.
Yeah, also it's like they seem to like put the effort in to do it, and like it is now accessible for people where it wasn't before, and that's still something.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be cool to see like
my main issue with that game is, oh boy, is that a very long dating sim where there's only so many events, and past a point you are literally going on the same dates with the same people, getting the same dialogue just to get the number up.
Oh boy. I'm curious how the second game might improve things, because I heard that's also really good. This is not about Sonic
soon to
anymore.
be translated. No.
Nice. Well, unless we have anything else, shall we get into Ultraman?
Let's go.
Hell yes.
Okay. Let me tell you about the first 30 seconds of episode 4 of Ultraman. This episode's called 5 Seconds Before the Explosion. Right at the beginning, before anything can happen, the world launches nuclear bombs at Jupiter. The rocket fails and the bombs are dropped into the ocean. One explodes and one is missing. The world wants the SSSP's advice on how to find their missing bomb. Did you get all that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Wild shit happening in the world of Ultraman. Ide is frustrated that the squad isn't being asked to help directly, but Fuji doesn't care. She's on vacation. Special orders from the captain, who thinks she works too hard. Despite the fact it's supposed to be a break, Fuji is nonetheless taking the kid mascot, Hoshino, with her.
This made me so... We will talk about this later. This made me so mad.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. Elsewhere, a ship is attacked and destroyed by a giant dragon
It sure
who has
is.
the nuclear bomb.
Immediately, God came down from the heavens and answered my question of, is this show following Ultra Q or not?
Absolutely.
Dr. Ichinotani smiling from where the fuck
prison.
Yes. Oh, I hope so.
Getting letters from the captain on the SSSP's latest missions.
Oh my god, he should do the fucking Silence of the Lambs meeting with Dr. Ichinotani. Oh no. Okay. A survivor reports... Oh yes, the giant Ragon has the nuclear bomb. A survivor reports the sighting of a huge wake before the attack, and Captain Muramatsu thinks it sounds like another attack that happened recently. The squad pinpoints both attacks on a map, the time between them, and plots the wake's trajectory. It's heading to Japan, and it will arrive soon. With his agents out in the field and lacking the resident woman, Muramatsu is forced to drink coffee made by Ide, who puts salt in it instead of sugar. There's so much happening here. At the coast, Fuji is playing badminton with Hoshino and a random little girl whose parents have decided to make use of Fuji's need to be helpful. This is the one saving grace of this episode, is that it's not just all the men in the world dropping everything on Fuji. She's just always trying to be helpful to everyone.
Similar to Yuriko's unhinged need for a scoop, there's Fuji's unhinged need to be helpful.
Yes, it's not quite as good, but I'll take it. Hoshino thinks it would be really easy to ditch this kid, but Fuji doesn't have it in her. At some point, she accidentally tunes into the SSSP frequency just in time to hear about the incoming threat. Yeah. And then she looks out a window and spots a huge wake heading to the shore.
Well, what happens is that the random girl's like, oh, you're an adult and you spilled food on yourself? That's silly, except it's actually the radio.
Yeah. And then, Fuji sees the giant wake and she's like, is that good? Ragon attacks. Fuji and Hoshino go to save the little girl from the hotel room they left her in. She fell asleep at some point. And Hoshino...
I love how they put her to bed and immediately get the call, please evacuate the area, and they're like, right, and then they continue walking down the hotel, and it's like, you're not... Wait, hold on. grab the girl, what are you doing?
They remember the girl so late. It's so funny. But they go to save the little girl from the hotel room they left her in, and Hoshino fends off Ragon's hand with a knife throw. Jun would be so proud. With the SSSP on its way, Fuji and Hoshino flee Ragon's attacks, and Hoshino once again makes Jun proud by leading Ragon away. Just as Jun did. Yeah. Arashi in the SSSP plane can't make his attack because of the risk of hitting Hoshino, Fuji, or even the fucking nuclear bomb. Remember the nuclear bomb? This situation calls for Ultraman. Ultraman attacks, and in the middle of the fight, the bomb falls and from Ragon, and the timer engages. We have 20 seconds. Ultraman dispatches Ragon, takes the bomb, and flies away to somewhere the bomb can safely detonate.
I gotta be honest.
Thank you, Ultraman.
I didn't time this. I didn't time the bomb. I should have in hindsight.
It was probably more than 20 seconds, but that's episode 4.
The Iron Giant invented nothing. No, I'm joking.
Extremely funny. Ultraman goes up and then the bomb explodes and everyone's sad, and Hayata comes off screen and is like, oh man, Ultraman, is he dead? And he's like, oh, no, it's fine, don't worry about it.
I'm starting to really appreciate that bit. It's very funny.
It's a great capstone to every episode. Is Hayata walking in off screen, just like, missed anything? What's going on?
Yeah, I feel like Hayata as a character is kind of not really sure how I feel him. He's kind of just no nonsense in a way that isn't especially interesting. But him just the end of the episode where he's just like, yeah, hi, what's up, is always pretty good.
Yeah, he's still riding the wave of that one time where he just dropped off a building to grab the beta capsule. But that wave will not last forever. He does need to be a character at some point. Or he doesn't, and he's just hero, and everyone else gets to goof off.
I mean, as long as everyone else is a character, that will help.
Yeah. The Return of Ragon is good. I assume it got big because of the nuclear explosion.
I did think they said that like the radiation from the bomb was like
yeah.
Yeah.
They heavily.
I think you forgot to mention also that like Ide at HQ is like, hey, Ragon is into music, so we should play music. Calling back to the episode.
Yes.
Which
yes.
pretty much the fact that like they're like, oh hey, it's Ragon, the thing we know, and we know what it's like, cementing continuity here.
So if you're if you watched that episode of Ultraman and you're like, why do they know that Ragon likes music? You Ultra Q skipper, go back. What are you doing? But yeah, it's funny that they're like but Ragon likes music, so we can solve this peacefully. And Captain Muramatsu going, no, probably not. We probably need to kill it this time, because that's what the show is now.
Yeah, I am noticing that like, at the very least, I have mentioned before how future Ultraman stuff isn't always about the violent resolution, but I think this show is.
Yes, this show might be.
I have strong thoughts about the Return of Ragon because I was so excited, and as the episode went on, I was thinking, what did you do to my fish creature? I don't think I liked this episode. I was very frustrated that from what we've seen so far, it really feels like Akiko and like Isamu are just destined to be off in their own little world while everyone else solves the problem in a way that kind of frustrates me. I also think that the effects were struggling in this one in particular in a way that I feel like we haven't seen since Tokyo SOS. Sometimes it's funny, like when Ragon opens its mouth and you can just see like the face holes inside. It's pretty good, but like the stuff with when it's reaching through the window and it just so clearly is like footage being overlaid on a background, it just did not work for me. That being said, I do appreciate Isamu carrying on Jun's legacy. That knife maneuver, I immediately also thought of Baron Spider.
To be fair, Hayata also did throw a knife.
That is true.
Hayata threw like a fucking special SSSP kunai is the thing.
Yeah, it was not a fruit knife.
So wild. He threw it at Bolton's shadow because he figured out that the shadow is the actual Bolton or something, and then the shadow started bleeding. That episode's cool.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't talk enough of the last time about just how cool the effects are with Bolton. Like we talked about a bit, but like those are some cool Phantom Trail effects.
They were very good.
Yeah. But yeah, this episode, Fuji, Akiko needs some justice.
I am really worried that, because we talked about how she's partially on this show because they wanted continuity in terms of like, let's get one of the three actors back for a role in this show. But I don't, like, they're not giving her stuff to do so far, and like that really bums me out because like she's a great actress and like she had a lot of cool like episodes centered on her and like a lot of what she was doing in Ultra Q, and it really feels like they're not giving her the screen time so far
like,
here.
We were excited to see her back because she was Yuriko, who was a cool lady.
Yeah, and now she's just, Muramatsu's like, well, the girl's not around, so I guess I have to drink this terrible coffee made by Ide.
Yeah. See, I laughed at the Ide being terrible at making coffee, but I did roll my eyes at like, oh my god, like,
he's like, Ide, by now, Akiko would have made me some fucking coffee. Where's my coffee? I was like, bro. The year is not 2023.
Yeah. I do remember from the production history that like, one, there's the writers are like divided on how to take the show, and also they did write the show and like they did do like 13 episode batches. So it is my hope that like things will maybe change as the show goes on. Right.
Yes. There will be like, the show will begin responding to its reception like pretty quickly and like 3 times.
Yeah.
Which is more than 00 can. and Code Geass.
I have some information about the director of this episode because here's I also got information on the directors for episodes 1, 2, and 3, and a lot of this is going to tie back into Ultra Q stuff. Do we want me to go retroactively and then catch up to episode 4, man, or how do we want to do this? I suppose.
I mean, I'd like to eventually cover the retroactive stuff, but maybe if today we're pressed a bit on time, we can do that next week.
And also the person who I'll save the first one for another time because I'm sure they're gonna come back up because it's spoiler alert, Eiji Tsuburaya's oldest son. But episode 5 of our batch here was also the same director as episodes 2 and 3, so we'll cover that anyhow. But episodes 4 and 6 of Ultraman were directed by Samaji Nonagase, who also wrote some episodes, directed episode 4 and 6, and then also wrote some episodes under a pen name, Ryu Minamikawa. We're going to see this with a few different directors for Ultra stuff, it seems, where they would direct, and then sometimes they would also step in to write some stuff, and they would do that part under a pen name. I learned a lot about this guy, a lot more than I thought I would get. The Nonagase family is a notable clan with a rich history throughout Japanese history.
Oh my god, this is what? Okay, continue.
Yes. They have their own Japanese Wikipedia article that goes back quite far. I skimmed through and I was like, I don't think any of this per se is necessarily relevant to what we're going to talk about, but just know that this guy is from like a known family. He has a long history of notable work in the film industry, including work on several Kurosawa films, who he worked alongside Eiji Tsuburaya, notably Throne of Blood and Hidden Fortress.
Yo!
Yeah. So, like, right off the bat, like, this guy was had assistant director tasks on fairly notable stuff. While working on the 1955 Kurosawa film I Live in Fear, he met and fell in love with a woman who happened to work at the department store that was being used as a filming location. They married 2 years later. When asked about it, apparently the couple cited that the man who introduced them to one another was none other than Academy Award-winning director Hiroshi Inagaki, best known for directing The Rickshaw Man and the Samurai trilogy, both of which starred Toshiro Mifune. And then also worth noting for our interest in particular, he helped out with some assistant directorial duties on Mothra as well. So he does have that kaiju background going into the Ultra stuff. At some point, Nonagase gets fed up with working in the film industry, just was not happy with, I guess, what was going on. Nothing really seemed to point out, as far as I could tell, what he was dissatisfied with, but, you know, film industry, I'm just assuming it's standard production stuff. You know, there's always behind the scenes frustrations and stuff like that.
We saw how this show got put together, so, you know, can you blame him?
Yeah. So at some point he gets fed up with film and he ends up pivoting to work at Toho's TV wing instead. He does that for a little bit before being personally invited by Eiji Tsuburaya to work on a little-known show called Ultra Q. He directed episode 5, Pegula is Here, episode 11, Balloonga, episode 14, Tokyo Ice Age, episode 16, Garamon Strikes Back, episode 20, The Primordial Amphibian Ragon.
Okay.
This is our favorite guy. Holy shit.
You said that at the funniest possible moment. Episode 23, Fury of the South Sea.
No!
But then brung it back around for episode 24, The Statue of Gong.
Oh my god.
Oh my...
Jesus.
Well, they can't all be winners.
No.
Bro.
I gotta find out who did episode 19 of Ultra Q. We'll do that later.
Yes.
I have never been so owned in all my life.
Notably, of the episodes that we have seen so far in both Ultra Q and Ultraman, he only has 2 writing credits under that pen name. Both of them are the Ragon episodes.
Okay.
This is his baby.
This is his baby.
Also, according to him, he only requests credit as a writer because apparently he did help out with writing here and there a bit for all of the stuff he worked on, but he only ever wanted to be credited if he felt that he contributed half or more of the episode's story. And it wasn't until the Ragon episode that his name shows up, because according to him, the initial attempts at writing for that episode were just not looking good, and he felt like he needed to step in personally to fix it.
Okay.
I think maybe this man is not so keen on Fury of the South Sea either. I have some suspicions about how the original Ragon episode would have gone.
A few things I found regarding his work. He has stated that he has a firm belief in making TV shows and movies look good, regardless of the budget you've been allocated. He does not feel that having low resources is an excuse for things looking shoddy or bad. This being said, it has also been noted that he has developed a reputation for frequently going over budget on his assigned work.
What a guy.
Oh, my man. Come on.
Specific special effects credited to him include the rotating stage that was used to convey Pegula's anti-gravity powers, and the giant Pegula footprint that caved in the ground.
Yes.
Last note on him, he was also a strong proponent of working with child actors and believed that if you were going to be making children's programming, you need to have a good understanding of what kids find cool. People noted that when auditions for child actors were taking place for Ultra Q episodes, he often would show up and would regularly ask the kids what they liked about monster stories, and he used their feedback to improve his own work.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Okay.
I respect that a lot.
Okay, so we can forgive him for Sudar, I think.
Yeah.
And to be fair, well, I think the Sudar problems come from the writing and not the directing.
Okay, yeah, true.
This is true.
We'll cover the previous Ultra Q stuff later, and we can get into the writers and stuff. But thank you very much.
Nice.
We'll retroactively fill out the backlog and hopefully keep things going ahead for the rest of this shows of all time.
Sick.
Yes.
Speaking of the rest of the shows of all time, do we want to get on to episode 5 of Ultraman?
Yeah.
I believe so. I will say, just to reiterate, I was very sad that I did not like the Ragon Return episode as much as I could.
Yeah.
It made me bummed, but...
This is not actually a slander on the episode, but because I was just very, very tired, but I did fall asleep in the middle of it. Again, I was just extremely exhausted, but it didn't surpass my exhaustion, and I just fell asleep in the middle of the episode, and I watched the rest of it in the morning. But oh well, because we've got a bit of a wild one.
Yes.
Let me tell you about episode 5 of Ultraman, Secret of the Miroganda. 2 murders take place, a reporter on a nighttime drive and a geologist working late at a lab. Both men killed by a big green blob thing that shoots the stuff that's in the beta capsule. The green goop.
It finally showed up.
Yeah.
I want to say, I rewatched episodes 1 through 3. Well, okay, I say rewatched. I looked for parts where the beta capsule shows up in episodes 1 through 3 to be like, how the fuck did I... And I don't have a good answer. I don't know what the fuck I was seeing.
Here's the thing. Because I watched episode 6 and got a clear look at the beta capsule, and I was like, oh no, I can see why you would think that was a tube with green goop in it.
I just assumed it was because he was thinking about blowjobs still.
God damn it.
Fuck.
We cannot let this be a recurring thing.
If it's green, go see a doctor.
I Miss American Prometheus so bad.
Tune in for Ultra 7, where we come up with an even more depraved in-joke for that.
Yep. So, yes, the SSSP investigates both scenes and finds the goop. Analysis reveals it contains both chlorophyll and, what is it, mucin or something? The chlorophyll found in plants. The second thing found in animals. What does it mean? Captain Muramatsu thinks this murder sounds a lot like the recent murder of Dr. Yamada. Arashi and Ide are sent to have a look around the doctor's garden, where his experiments are planted. He liked to use radiation to make plants way bigger. Seems safe. Ide spots that a plant is missing from the very spot that the doctor was killed. The missing plant is the Miroganda, one of the doctor's recent findings on an expedition. We'll get into the expedition. Arashi... there's a moment back at base where Arashi gesticulates wildly and punches Ide incredibly hard in the face by accident, resulting in Ide wearing a cartoon bandage on his head. This is an important detail. Skipping a whole bunch of intermediary steps here, the SSP discovers that the doctor, the reporter, and the geologist were there's three of them, all on the expedition where Miroganda was discovered, and the squad tracks down the other person who was on that trip, Ms. Hamaguchi. She relates the story in which her and her crew strapped on some pith helmets, Ultra Q classic, coming back, and went on a black and white adventure to Oirus Island, where they found Miroganda, which was in color. This is cool.
Yeah,
this was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. This reminds me of there's like a German adaptation. So there's one of the few Lovecraft stories that I read and mostly liked was The Color Out of Space. And this reminds me, there's like a German movie called The Color Out of Space where it's all in black and white except for the titular color, which is purple. It's cool. Reminded me of that. I haven't actually watched that movie, but I've seen the effects and I'm a fan. The woman was attacked. Ms. Hamaguchi was attacked by something similar to the monster that has been responsible for the murders. Hayata has the answer. The Miroganda plant of unearthly beauty does not begin its life in full bloom. It's like a dragonfly, or, a plant. The monster that is attacking is the juvenile form of a Miroganda, apparently hunting down the people who stole it from its native land. The squad is on patrol. Yeah, it's the same. I would. The squad is on patrol at this doctor's house, and Arashi is attacked by the Miroganda. This is a really cool moment where they're cutting between people reporting that everything's fine, and then they cut to Arashi saying everything's fine, and then immediately the Miroganda, which is just in the shot, just gets up and grabs him.
I appreciated like a human scale size fight in this scene too.
Yes. The team successfully shoots Miroganda dead and cheer and do high fives and stuff, and then we cut to a guy who's like, there's still 8 minutes in the episode, you did not kill it. In fact, your laser guns probably made it way bigger, actually. Sure enough, Miroganda returns, bigger than before, and Arashi wants to spider shot it to death as he feels responsible for Miroganda getting so big. My man, you're doing the same thing.
I did not expect the spider shot to be such a recurring element, but I very much appreciate that this is his thing.
Excuse you, you have to sell those toys.
So here's the thing: they changed the effects on the guns for this episode.
Don't worry about it,
because all the other episodes, it's like lightning. And in this episode, they're beams.
Yeah,
they're like full Star Trek phaser beams,
or like a Litra's acid breath.
Well, yeah, that too. That's a little closer relation than my reference. That's maybe more applicable. But yeah, they changed the effects for this episode. Don't know why. But sure enough, this does not work. So Ultraman has to save the day. Ultraman and Miroganda circle each other around a clock tower, and then the clock tower strikes at the hour, and just before it can finish, Miroganda attacks, toppling the tower.
This was so cool.
It's pretty sick.
I love this so much.
I was like, oh, damn. This is cool.
This is like when the miniature sets are like on point.
Yes, absolutely. Anyway, Ultraman kills Miroganda. Rip. Everyone is happy to be saved. And Ide is like, where's Hayata? No one cares. The end.
Coming off of episode 4, I was like, oh my god, oh no, this is everything I was worried about coming to fruition. What? Oh no, oh no. And then I watched episode 5. I was like, no, this show could actually be really fucking sick, actually.
Yeah.
I like this episode a lot.
This is a good episode.
So good.
Yeah, I guess it probably helps. And it sometimes hurts when you have, like, different directors and writers.
Mm-hmm.
And a new monster every week.
Yeah, a new monster. What more could you want? A new monster every week? Damn. The thing I was watching this episode just like out because I didn't have anything for breakfast, so I had to go out and just like go to a cafe, watch this episode, eat an expensive, way too expensive fucking pastry, and watch this episode. And I had to contain myself in public from not popping off when they were circling each other around the clock tower in slow-mo. I was like, oh shit, this show goes hard.
It's so tense. I love it. And also just like the plant suit looks so fucking good. It's I love everything about. I'm big fan of plant monsters. I think I'm finding.
Yeah, I think I just. Oh, go ahead.
Well, the fact that I guess it's a monster that can move does make it a bit more interesting than Duran, even though Duran did a good job of being like, here is a big ass plant and it's scary.
Yeah.
I was wondering while watching this, like, oh, were they thinking about Mammoth Flower when they were making this? Because I have a feeling like maybe they're kind of like, oh, maybe we can like revisit that and like give it like more of a like Ultraman kind of take. But at the same time, it's so different that I was like, maybe not as it went on. But
I liked that for once in the Ultra series, fucking around in pith helmets, they found out.
Yes,
they did find out.
Yes, I appreciated that so much. And again, too, like there was a bit where I glanced away to look at a text message, and then I looked up, and the show was in black and white, and I went, "What the fuck happened?" It was so cool.
It was I was a big fan of this episode.
I will say, incredibly charmed by the photographer lady just having the most 60s ass apartment imaginable.
Yes.
I'm just like I have seen this. I've seen this wallpaper. I've seen this furniture. This is what my grandma's house looked like.
Man, yeah. God. Yeah. I like The Secret of Miraganda. I think it's a good episode. Do we have any production details on this? Or?
Yes, we do. Episodes 2, 3, and 5 of Ultraman. So again, that is the Murder All the Aliens episode.
Classic.
It's fuck. What? Oh god. What's
Shoot the Invaders?
Yes. No. But episode 3. What's the monster's name again? My brain broke.
Oh.
Naranga.
Power plant guy.
Naranga.
Yes.
That's the one.
Power plant, invisibility monster, and then this one, all directed by Toshihiro Iijima, who also works as a writer on a lot of these shows under the pen name Kitao Senzoku. He also, so of these 3, the only one he has a writing credit on is episode 2. The rest he just directed. I couldn't find as much about this guy, but one thing I did find of note is that when you do look stuff up about him, apparently like a big impactful thing for him is that he chose to attend the university that he did because of his interest in writing plays. And more specifically, he chose his university because there was a playwright he really admired known as Michio Kato, who taught Japanese literature there, and he really wanted to study under him. However, 1 year into his education, this teacher committed suicide, and this ended up being like a major thing for Iijima, and it ended up convincing him, or at the very least, it was a major factor in him deciding to change his focus from Japanese literature to English literature, and then from there he found his way after graduation, like writing for like TVs and movies and TV shows and movies and stuff.
Damn.
I couldn't find a lot, unfortunately, about like what he was doing before Subaraya Productions. But what I did find is that in Ultra Q, he did not direct, but he wrote the first episode, Defeat Gomez.
Oh.
Unfortunately, wrote and directed SOS Mount Fuji.
Wow.
Also, unfortunately, wrote and directed the Underground Super Express Goes West.
Oh my god.
Directed.
Man, what were you doing? What were you doing on that episode? What was going on?
Directed the Rainbow's Egg, and like, so again, Red, I had a moment similar to what you had, where I was just going through this, and I'm like, this is just the king of mid, and then I got fucking owned because he finished up his tenure on Ultra Q by writing and directing Challenge from the year 2020.
Holy fucking shit!
Yo, let's go.
And then also wrote Blazing Glory, the Peter episode.
Oh my fucking god. Sometimes you're struck by genius.
You know what?
How did the M1 guy write the Peter episode?
You know what? I would say he probably, the first few, he was practicing. And he just got better at it.
Yeah.
Damn.
The definition of let him cook.
Let him cook. To be fair, the last 3 episodes he did, all bangers. This one,
yeah.
The Peter and Kemmer, those are amazing.
There's that guy Tartini who wrote the Devil's Trill Sonata who claims that the devil played it to him in his dream, and his version in the real world is only a pale imitation. And everyone's like, he claims to have written it in this year, but us music scholars, we think he wrote it later because that was when his skills had developed. And I'm like, no, but he said the devil told him.
Isn't that also just like
the devil did
Isn't that like the plot of a Tenacious D song too?
I mean, possibly. It's a very famous musical anecdote. Is that Tartini claimed that were he given a choice between hearing the devil play that music again and destroying his violin, he would destroy his violin in a second.
He could also scam over violin, so
maybe this one writer was just visited by the devil in the night. It happens sometimes.
I like to think he was visited by Peter, actually.
He was visited.
A giant crocodile showed up in his room, and he's like, "You're gonna write it. I predict you're gonna write an episode of television about this experience."
Oh my god! Peter's predictions always come true.
Super Eyes just like, man, do you got anything? And like, we're wrapping up, so we need something. It's like, oh, there was this time with the giant lizard.
You know what's funny is the Kemmer episode is also about a guy who gets predictions for the future and puts in his work. So maybe
he has the one good idea.
Maybe Peter is also Kemmer.
Oh shit! He's the only one that made it. He's like found a new body.
Yes. See, this is I am very much enjoying going through these people's life stories and former works because I feel like we're finding out a lot and much needed context that I think is helping us piece together how these shows get made.
Yeah, I'm looking forward
very fun way.
I'm looking forward to finding out more about the previous Ultra Q stuff.
Yeah.
God,
that Joe episode's so good.
It's very.
I feel like it's like the best Jun episode in a way, just like as Jun as a character.
Oh, Jun is so good in that. And we said this last week as well.
the further we get away from Ultra Q, I feel like I don't think I'd call it my favorite episode, but I feel like it's the one I think about the most.
Yeah, I do think about that episode a lot.
It's a very interesting episode.
We're gonna have to like eventually do like top 5 episodes of Ultra Q in like a year, and then we'll see which ones are really make the cut.
Which ones, truly stood the test of time.
I think
the Dark Horse
gave me
Fuji
5.
SOS.
I think if you gave me 5, I think I could do it. I think maybe. Or 10 would be. I don't know if 10 would be easier or harder.
I think I could do 5, but we will see in a year.
Yeah.
We won't remember this.
Alrighty. Well, do we have anything else about the incredibly cool episode where people steal a plant from its homeland and then it kills them?
I just want to highlight that it's cool that like the pollen that's like killing people, it like has an impact on like Ultraman's color timer. Just like
yes. So one thing we didn't mention was the plant shoots like weird pollen at people, and it's a really cool effect.
Yeah. Reminded me actually a little bit of the Mothra spray from those movies.
Or, the pollen from Jurgen.
True.
Ooh. This is true. That pollen killed less people.
It did. Also, they probably deserved it less.
This is true. All right. Well, episode 6 of Ultraman is called The Coast Guard Command.
Oh man, this episode is such a cool title. I'm really glad they came up with such an original title for this one.
Uh-huh. Hoshino, being Jun 2, has to have his own gang, one boy and one girl, and the one boy has to be very clearly his funny sidekick. This gang is having fun at Yokohama, watching ships come in and out of port. They spot a ship full of cacao, the bean you make chocolate out of. Ippei Jr. spots a lizard monster in the water, and Hoshino spots Diamond Kick, the diamond smuggler. We're back. We're back with the robbers.
The kid's name is Chiro, just for like actual.
Chiro, okay. I had forgotten his name, so I called him.
Unfortunately, I don't know what the girl's name is, but I guess she's technically not.
It is extremely funny how back to back they just see these two wild things happening, like pretty much. Like it's very funny.
The running bit here is that Hoshino is like, oh, you saw a giant lizard, you saw a monster, and he looks through the binoculars and sees Diamond Kick and goes, oh, you mean Diamond Kick? Yeah, I guess he is kind of a monster, and just runs with that. It completely ignores Chiro going, no, I saw a lizard. I saw a giant lizard in the water. And Hoshino's like, yeah, Diamond Kick, I know, you told me.
Yeah, go on.
Hoshino calls the squad, and Arashi is like, diamond smugglers aren't our jurisdiction. Call the cops. Do not get involved. Hoshino is not going to call the cops, and he is definitely going to get involved, but not yet, because first we have to hear the tale of Gesura from, cold shot, I did not look this up, the cop from the Chemo episode of Ultra Q.
Holy fuck.
I think it's him.
Oh shit. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna look this up right now. Is it not?
What, you mean like the cop who's like the... Wait... Oh yeah, the detective.
The old guy.
Detective? Yeah, it might be him. You can look that up.
Here he is in an old, as an old sailor.
Shit, the Ultraman wiki is failing me because it just has the main cast listed. God damn it!
Failure. I think it's him. We could, I will put it side by side. At like after we're done recording.
I will take care of this because I don't want you guys to accidentally find spoilers at some point accidentally.
That's a good point.
He's an old sailor on the ship transporting cacao. He explains that maybe the spiny lizard that young Chiro saw was Gesura. Gesura is a lizard that loves cacao, goes crazy for it, will brazenly pursue it from great distances just by scent. Bro, same. But Gesura is just a little guy. There's no way it would grow to be so huge. The Gang 2.0 goes to the warehouse where the beans are stored to find evidence of Gesura. Instead, they are kidnapped when they run across Diamond Kick searching through the sacks for his smuggled diamonds. Meanwhile, a huge Gesura attacks the harbor, wrecking the ship the cacao beans came in on.
And there's the part where I say, that's not fucking Gesura, that's fucking Peter.
Dude, that's...
I was given huge, like... I was like, oh, damn. I was thinking more Ragon 2.0, but you're right. That is a Peter 2.0.
That is Peter.
They just reused the suit. They made the same suit. Like, they reused the suit. That's what happened.
Which is very funny, because if you remember from our Ultra Q episode about Peter, we were like, this is maybe the least convincing suit we've seen, but he is funny.
Yes.
Diamond Kick has to flee, taking the kids back to his hideout without finding his diamonds. The squad are called in to deal with it, and they conclude that Gesura must have become big from all the toxic waste getting dumped into Tokyo Bay. They learn that Gesura is a peaceful creature unless provoked, and navigates by way of the antenna on the top ridge of its neck. The squad decide to spread the cacao beans on the open water to lure Gesura. But what's this? Fuji finds the shoe of Ippei Jr., Chiro, as well as the smuggled diamonds. Hoshino is in danger. And the other kids too. But Hoshino has got this in hand. He picks the lock on the room Diamond Kick shut them in, and would have escaped if not for Chiro sneezing. A chase ensues, but is interrupted by the arrival of Gesura, who has come for the fucking beans. Quick question. What? Did Diamond Kick flee to a second warehouse full of cacao beans?
Question mark?
So I believe in the shot we get where Gesra is destroying the warehouse, it almost looks like it's like segmented out into two parts.
Okay.
If I'm remembering what it looks like correctly. But I could see how it could be the same technical building, but like there's like a little bit that I think there's like a bit in the middle that's thinner that connects the two together.
I see. Okay. That could be what's happening. All right. The SSSP are careful not to attack Gesera, but Diamond Kick has no such concerns. He shoots Gesera in the face with a handgun for some reason, and now there's no going back.
I'm more impressed that he manages...
Extremely funny that he just looks out the window, sees a giant monster, and just immediately starts blasting.
I'm more impressed that he manages to actually hit
it. God, it's just like, oh my god, giant monster. Let me pull my gun out here. In the confusion, because Gesera is mad now, in the confusion, the squad successfully rescues the kids, but Hayata gets stuck in a crushed building and drops the beta capsule just out of reach. With one more push, he grabs the capsule and transforms into Ultraman, just in time to save the squad from getting squished by Gesera. Ultraman fights Gesera, pulling the antenna out of its neck and throwing it into the sea, where it dies. Rip. Back at base... The kids are thanked for the role they played in capturing Diamond Kick. Their reward? A tray of chocolate, which Chiro can smell before he sees it, just like a little Gesera. The end.
I like this one.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
So a couple things. One, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The actor's name for the sailor is Kon Yanagiya, and he did play the old detective in that episode of Ultra Q.
Let's go.
Second, you're missing the part where, like, everyone's like, oh man, Hayata died in the collapsing building, and he just comes out. He's just coming back from with the diamond kick in his arms. He's like, don't worry,
he's got one slung over his shoulders. He's just like, yeah, I got him. It's good. We're all good here. Did I miss all? He literally says, oh, I can't believe I missed Ultraman again. Isn't that so weird, guys?
Yeah. I feel like this is
right. Here's
the last 5 minutes of the episode. Last 2 minutes of the episode where Hayata is the best as a character.
Yeah, I think by the end of the show, here's what should happen. Everyone should know he's Ultraman except Ide, who is still like there's something fishy going on here. That would be how I do it.
My called shot is that I think there's going to be one episode where maybe it's the captain gets really close to finding out who Ultraman is, and then, like, last minute he doesn't, and then the status quo is preserved.
Mm-hmm. The captain what could also happen is the captain reveals in the last episode that he has known all along.
And yes.
I can see that happening.
That's very believable.
I mean, it was in, like, the production history that for Bemular that they were like, well, maybe the captain won't know the secret. So who knows?
Yeah. This is true. So that's possible. But yeah, I like this episode. I think Hoshino growing on me. He's all right.
Yeah, no, I ended up liking him this batch of episodes quite a bit. Which I didn't think he was annoying or anything in the first 3, but I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, they got the tag along kid or whatever for hijinks, mm-hmm. But like. They do quite a bit to show, like, him getting involved in, like, a way that I don't feel like ever ends up feeling, you know, sometimes writers lean on things for making cheap drama in ways that just, like, end up getting annoying. Mm-hmm. I don't think they've fallen into that with him at all, which is really cool to see.
There's a great moment in that Ragon episode where that little girl's mum comes back and is like, oh, could you look after her for a little bit more while I go out with my friends or whatever? And Hoshino, like, as Fuji is about to say yes, Hoshino just with his badminton racket just like whaps her on the leg, just like, great, come on, say no.
See, I really want Fuji to be cooler so that when like, if she and Hoshino are doomed to always be squared off while everyone else is, like, doing, like, monster stuff, I want them to be cool together, because that would be honestly pretty fun.
Yeah, I did. I was happy in this episode, at least, we actually got to see Fuji in her uniform, because, like, too often she's just at HQ in, like, the blue suit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She give her a gun.
Give her a gun.
I do think
not
it's
that
funny.
The guns do anything.
Listen, that spider shot, someday it's gonna.
I mean, to be fair, Hoshino with spider shot blew up Naranga's eye.
That is true.
What if last episode the color timer runs out, Ultraman fucking dies,
damn,
and the SSSP has to take down the monster? This will not happen, but
that would be cool as hell. But I do not.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting seeing how later shows build on the formula and like also build on character archetypes, etc. We'll get there in coming years.
I do think it's really funny. Like I said, episode 4 and 6 directed by the same guy, Samaji Nonagase. I think it's very, very funny that they're just like back-to-back Sea Monster episodes go.
Yep.
And in both of them, I noticed that Ragon and Gesra both do the same thing, where they pretty much just slam dunk a ship underwater, and it looks really cool both times.
Also, I confirmed on Gesra's like wiki page. It's just, they got Ragon parts and slapped onto Peter's suit.
Nice.
I can see it. That makes sense. That also I feel better feeling that it was Ragon 2.0. Yeah, it's the baby.
Who wrote this episode?
Oh my god, it's the baby from that one.
Oh shit, you're right.
It grew up and got killed by Ultraman.
I do not know that. I did not. I went down the director hole so hard that I was not even able to look at writers yet. But I do plan on doing that in the future.
Okay,
at some point.
We'll do a roundup next week.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Mel. Color timers for this episode. These episodes.
But the color timing. Whoa, my voice. What the fuck?
It happens.
Don't worry, I'll train my voice eventually. The color times. Hello. Episode 4. We got 2 minutes 36 seconds. Mm-hmm. Episode 5. 3 minutes 52 seconds. Like Ultraman literally fades into the sunset at the very end of the episode, like right at the end.
Yeah.
Episode 6, 3 minutes 10 seconds.
So we're coming in, we're averaging out like looking like his top ends at 3 minutes and a bit.
Extremely noticing that whenever it's the 21-minute mark, that's when Ultraman starts transforming.
Yes. Yeah. This isn't like something I noticed with Voltes 5. Was like, oh shit, the transformations happened in the first half of the episode. This fight is about to be sick.
Yeah. I mean, that happens in like...
Although, sometimes that just means that they fail and then they have to transform again at the end of the episode. What I actually mean is Daitan 3. I actually mean Daitan 3 where the transformations happen really early in the episode and the fight just fucking goes for ages. Because I don't know why, but Zambot and Daitan are just like all in on like the coolest mech fight shit you've ever seen. Like really well animated. It's wild. But I don't think we will be getting Ultraman transforming before the 20-minute mark for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it'll happen.
I can see maybe Ultra 7. Maybe Ultra 7. We'll see.
I'm sure.
But I think for this one, it'll be towards the end always.
Well, they can baton pass it. They've got 7 of them.
True.
Okay. Well, unless we have anything else about episode 6 of Ultraman, I'll take that as a no.
No. I like it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that's a podcast.
Yeah. We got emails.
Do we want to? We got an emails.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I just want to check in. Did you, Razin? You said you had a little flexibility on that time.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did get a text though, and I feel like I should get going soon. I have Easter lunch plans.
Okay.
So if we could save the email for next week, I would appreciate it.
Okay.
We'll save the emails for next week.
All right, thank you.
Okey-dokey.
Sorry.
No worries. Let me hit plugs then. I'll let first of all say if you want to follow the show, you can do so at ultra_q. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at gender_redacted. If you want to follow me on co-host, fall down an RTS rabbit hole, that's still happening. I'm at November. Razin, do you want to go?
Yeah. So now that real life stuff has been all squared away and dealt with, I do want to get back to streaming Resident Evil. I really want to play that 4 remake, but I am refusing to do that until I play 2 remake and 3 remake as Capcom decreed. No one decreed that, but I'm me, so that's how I do things. My YouTube channel is Rosenbrand. I'm at Twitter at Rosenbrand. Red, you're inspiring me. I should go back to co-host. I don't know what to use co-host for.
That's the thing. I'm so Twitter trained that I was like, I don't know how to fucking post on I like the character limit. But that now I've got a thing that I can kind of blog about ish.
See, here's the thing: is I feel like co-host is like rife for the rebirth of like screenshot Let's Play as a format, but also
it is basically like a new. It's basically the format of Tumblr. With
I could move my Fate Stay Night mega threads over there. Oh man, I need to get back to Fate. Mel.
Hi. My Schrodinger's Twitter account is at DearCrowns. I got a Twitch. I do stuff. Cosmic_Crown. You can show up, I guess. I do have co-host, which is for some reason at Dear Crown, which is singular in camel case. I'll figure out one day to change it to be consistent, so it's less confusing. just different enough to be annoying.
Yeah, we've all been there. All right, well, if that's an episode, I'm gonna say bye for now. We'll see you next time for 3 more episodes of Ultraman. That is episode 7, 8, and 9. But eventually we'll figure out an outro. The show will give us something to end on. But for now, goodbye.
Hayato will show up for the last minute of the show.
Yeah. He'll be like, did I miss the podcast? I'll be like, yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Later.
Bye.